Everyone, welcome to today's session on OKR. I use OKR for my personal goal setting. I thought it would be a useful session for everyone. This is a talk that I gave in my office this week, a virtual talk. So I thought let me share with the wide audience. Before we do that, let's start with a quick online survey. If you go to this link, just try to fill how you do your how do you manage your daily task. So there are a few options here. The first option is just using pen and paper, creating a list there. The second is using some kind of a digital application. Third is using something like Notepad on your machine or using something like VS Code to manage that. Or the fourth is where you don't use any of those options. So once you choose any of the options, so I typically use a online application, so I do that. I give a vote. Okay, I've already participated, so I can look at the result. So the result looks like this. So what I understand is that a lot of people don't use any way to manage their daily tasks. They just do whatever comes to them. So it's a good way to understand what people are using these days to manage their daily task. So I have been using to-do list for more than a decade. In my professional journey, I started in 2005. So I think in few years after that, I started using to-do list mainly on pen and paper. In 2015, I started using digital to-do list, and in last year August, I started using OKR. So this session is more about OKR, and I will tell you why just having a to-do list does not solve the problem. So the three main limitations that I see when you only use to-do list. First is that they are transactional in nature. By it I means that they only give you a picture of today, which means that these are the tasks that I have to finish today, and you will work on them and get them done. They don't give you a bigger picture, so you can't relate how this to-do item is related to your end goal or a goal that you have sometime in future, probably 3 months or 6 months. So it's hard to measure the progress. It's a good starting point, but I don't think that gives you everything that you need to succeed. And a lot of times when we try to create to-do list, we basically end up putting a lot of stuff in the to-do list, and they just become a wish list that someday we will do. So they start losing their meaning, in my opinion. Also, if you are still stuck with pen and paper, I think there are a lot of digital goodies that people are missing. Searchability is just one. You are also missing tagging. You're also missing the information knowledge system that can be created using your to-do list. So there are a lot of things that you will not get by just using pen and paper. So I will say pen and paper is a good start, but ideally you have to go beyond that. So let's look into OKR. So what OKR means? OKR stands for objective and key results. So there are two key terms here: objective and key result. When we talk about objective, we are talking about where to go. So in 3 months, this is where I want to reach, and key result help you figure out how to get there. So key results are very quantifiable, measurable results, and objective is a big audacious statement or big goal that you have. So objectives are the goals, big goals, ambitious, qualitative, time bound, and actionable by the team. So these are the few qualities of an objective. And key results have to be measurable, quantifiable. You should be able to score them, grade them. They should be difficult but not impossible. So the idea behind key result is that you should not be able to achieve 100% of that. So typically a good score in a key result is 70 to 80%. So that, which means that you still have to work hard to probably from 70 to 80 to 90. So it has to be challenging enough. Marissa Mayer, Yahoo CEO, I think she resigned or she left Yahoo in 2017. Now I think she has her own company. She said that it's not a key result unless it has a number. So key results need to have a number, and we will look at that when I will talk about an example here. So let's move ahead. So how does OKR is a technique that is used by a lot of organizations to help make sure that the people who are working on the field, who are writing software, are linked to the organizational objectives. So organizations set the objectives, then they percolate down to the individuals, and that's the flow of the OKR. So typically an organization sets the objectives, then teams pick up sub objectives and then define the key results, and finally a person does some activities which are linked to the organization objective. So let's look at that. So let's take a simple example. An organization CEO sets an objective that he or she wants to improve the profitability of their software development projects. Now how can we do that? So there could be multiple things. One could be you can reduce the cost by some measure. So as a CTO, someone can say that we will try to hire and train consultants, junior developers, and we will teach them how to write quality software. Now when you have this objective, which means that you will be lowering the cost of the project by making sure that the developers that you are building are of reasonable salary, but they are junior, so they will have there's a balance here. So this is how you will come up with. So a CTO will define the objective where he or she will say that they will hire and train consultants that can deliver quality software. And finally, if this is the goal of the or objective of the CTO, so the CTO team could have objective like conduct a 3-month course where we will train the people. So that becomes, so this objective finally, which is that improving the profitability of the project, becomes one of the objectives of a team, that they have to conduct a course outside their work, and that is measurable. Now the biggest advantage is that it links what you are doing on the ground. So the course that we are doing here is linked to the company's objective. So there is a linkage that you define here, and you build traceability into your system. So that's the whole point of OKR. OKR, I think, also is very beneficial because it gives a team the power to say no, and it is very important that a team can say no to the task that it might be put up against. The simple example could be if a team is conducting a 3-month course and it is aligned to the company's objective. So if something else comes, they can always say that they are occupied here, so they can't say something else. So there is a balance that can be achieved, and it becomes much more easier to communicate with the across the organization, because a lot of people have different goals or different objectives. It gives people the power to say no. I wrote about a similar topic about how that it is very difficult to say no, and I think the whole point here is a yes has no meaning if we never say no. So no is an important aspect, and I wrote about it in my blog if you want to read. So let's talk about history of OKR. OKR is not a new concept. It dates back to 1968. I think I read somewhere that the earliest reference was 1954, but typically people start with 1968 when Andy Grove, who was CEO of Intel, introduced OKR in Intel. John Doerr was the guy who joined Intel in 1974. He worked closely with Andy Grove, so he also became familiar with OKR philosophy. Andy also wrote a book called High Output Management, which is some sort of a Bible in management. So a lot of people who are in management know about this book. And in that book also he gives reference to the OKR. So if you want to read a book, I think on OKR, earlier references could be found in the High Output Management book. In 1999, John went to Google. He met Larry and Sergey, where he talked about OKR. So Google was struggling a lot because a lot of developers were not aligned with the company objective. So they invited John for a talk, and John talked about how OKR can help Google streamline its objective with the people activity. And Google adopted OKR in 1999. Till date, they are doing it. So everybody in the organization do the OKR. I think as soon as someone joins Google, I think in first month they have to get the OKR done for them. In 2017, John wrote a book called Measure What Matters. So this is the latest book that I'm reading as well. It's a very good book where he talk about OKR in detail. It looks like a very simple topic, but he has spent, I think, close to 300 pages on that book. So there's a lot of information in that book that you can read. Today, a lot of organizations are using OKR. Typically, this is being used by a lot of product organizations. Some of them I have mentioned in this picture: Netflix, Google, LinkedIn, Yahoo, Zing, and many more. Facebook, Dropbox, lot many. I think there is a link which talks about all the companies which are using OKR. Okay. Twitter also uses OKR. Asana also uses. So there are many people, many organizations which are using OKR. So let's look at an example of an OKR. We talked about this example, I think, few slides back. So let's just revisit it and let's see how key results and objective are related to each other. So we talked about an objective which is hire and train consultants that can deliver quality software. So this is basically a big goal that a CTO has. And what are the key results in it? So key results here is that he or she has to hire 20 engineers in the range of 2 to 4 years of experience by 30th September 2019. So as you can see here, there are numbers all around. So we have a number called 20, we have a number called 30th September 2019. So we have two numbers, so we can measure on 1st October whether this has happened or not. Similarly, the key result 2 is about making sure that by 31st December 20 trained engineers are ready. So again, we can measure it. And this is one thing that I learned when I started using OKR, because anything which has a number can be I think scammed or fooled around, and I think we are smart enough to fool the system. So you also have to build some kind of a countermeasure in your OKR, something that ensures that the quality is also set in your system. So one of the key result has to be a countermeasure which makes sure that you don't get away easily. So the third key result is all of them are aligned and billable by 31st January 2020. So now this makes sure that the training is done well, we hire good engineers. So you're building a measure somehow that you should not be able to fool the system. So this is a good idea in my opinion. It also makes you accountable. It also makes an organization accountable. So key results need to have some kind of a countermeasure as well. So let's talk about this. Is a talk that I'm doing. So we can have OKR or objective setup for this as well. So I can say that my objective is to teach Zebians how to do personal goal setting with OKR, and key result could be I finish my session on time, people gave me 4+ rating, and I get commitment from people, at least 5 people, to try OKR. So that could be my success criteria for this XK or this session. XK stands for Zebian Knowledge Exchange, so it's a internal term that is being used at Zebia. So what are the rules of the OKR game? OKR is typically set at an organization level annually, but teams set this at quarterly. I think quarter is a good time where you can see some progress and track it. And every 1.5 month people do the retrospective or the talk to so a manager can talk to his subordinates, try to understand the progress that they have made. So typically you try to do that in between 3 months, or at 1.5 months you will do that. You should not have too many objectives. In the last quarter I made a mistake. I set up 10 objectives and I failed to achieve I think majority of them. So I made progress in most of them, but I think I was not happy with the end result, and that happens a lot if you are trying to work on 10 things at the same time. So it's always a good idea to keep it to 3 or 4. So this quarter I have made it 4 for me. So I think 4 is a good number for objectives. It keeps you focused and aligned with your goals. 4 objectives, that's the number that I'm talking about. 4 objectives with 4 key results is your maximum per quarter. I think as you start, I think that's a good number to start. And I think it also takes time for OKR to, like any process, it evolves over time. So it will take at least few months or probably a year to get it, to get a right rhythm here. But you will become better at it as you go along. You have to make your objectives challenging. So I was the course that I was talking about. This was the first time that we were doing it. We had no material. We have to think about the assignments that we will be giving to people. We have to think about all the content. We will have to think about who all will be doing that. We have to manage our software delivery as well. So it is challenging. So an objective has to be challenging, and that's what is important. And the goal should be that you should be able to achieve 70 to 80% of the target, and every key result should have a number or a date. I think that is the key part here. When you have a number or a date, you can easily evaluate it objectively, and you can create a learning process. You can use the score to see what you have done wrong. Another thing that we should keep in mind, I think I do this mistake a lot. I overestimate my capabilities. I think I can do more in less time, and I struggle with that, and I think that's true with most of us. So try to keep this in mind, that most of us think we overestimate beyond our capabilities. We try to punch above our weight. We have to try hard that it also does not become a big laundry list. I think there are some countermeasures which help here. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, it takes few months or year to fine tune the process. So don't assume that you will be able to in the first time you will get it right. I think you have to be patient here. You have to give some time to the process to evolve, and you will find a fine balance somewhere. I think I have, and I think as you try it, you will also do that same. How to grade the OKR? I think that's a critical aspect. For every key result, you use a scale of 0 to 1. So you try to see if you have achieved 50% of your goal, you give it say 0.5, and depending on how much you have completed. Getting 70% should be a target. If you constantly score a OKR of 1 or a score of 1, then it means your OKRs are not challenging enough. You score for an objective. So your score for an objective is just doing an average of all the key results. That's how I do it. I think people recommend that. You can try to be smart and do a weighted average as well, but I thought let's keep things simple and go with the average. And the last part is that grade should not be punished. So it's not a part of your performance review, and I think that what a lot of people say, that we have to make sure that people can fail or push above their weight. So it should not be considered as a performance review thingy. But I feel that becomes difficult. It's in our human nature to do that. So I personally don't know, because I have been doing it personally, so I'm not doing it at an organization level, so I can't comment on that. But I think it's a good idea that we should not punish people for not achieving these scores. So let's apply the knowledge that we learned about grades to my objective. So we looked at, so we said that we will hire 20 engineers. We end up hiring 15. So it just become 15 divided by 20, which is 75%, so 0.75. Similarly, we finished the course on time by 31st, but again, because we only hired 15, again I scored 0.75. All of them are aligned and billable. So this is the countermeasure that I built. So if I have not built this countermeasure, I could have been successful in my goal. But by the end of 31st March, we were able to get 8 out of 15 to be a billable. Rest was still in supporting task. So that becomes 0.53. So total score became 0.67. So sadly, this objective didn't achieve its complete value. But what we learned is that billability is a key aspect here. So we have to make sure that the sales team is aligned with our goal, because sales somehow has to make sure that the people that we are building are aligned with the project. So what we learned is that there's a dependency on the sales and the management to make sure things are better aligned. So again, this gave us some information that we can fine tune in the next cycle of the course. Common mistakes to avoid, as I mentioned earlier, you should not set too many OKRs per quarter. 4 objectives plus 4 key results is a good number in my opinion. Your key results are task, not results. You should not make OKR part of the performance review. So you make OKR part of the performance, that becomes a problem. You make them tasks, that becomes a problem. Fine. Now, one thing that becomes difficult is that, at least when I was starting it, how does that relate back to my personal activities? So I do things on a daily level, somehow this has to percolate to my daily task. So how should I go about doing it? So the way I figured out is by building some kind of a framework for myself, and this framework is this, and I will show you an example of it in the template that you can probably see in a Google Doc. So this is the template I will show you. So I start my quarter reviewing the previous quarter OKR and scoring them just to see where I performed good or bad, and you have to be objective and try to not fool the system here. So again, you have to be self-accountable here. Write down what went wrong and what went right. So just if you have been following Agile, so it's more like a retrospective that you have to do. Then you spend few hours listing down the current OKRs, current quarter OKR. So I typically do that in the first few days of a month. I think for April I did it around 3rd or 4th of April. And so that becomes your quarterly goal or quarterly planning. It has to be, I think, very clear what you really want to achieve. And I spent some time thinking over my mistakes for the previous OKR and how I can get over them. Then I think the way I do it is that then I convert these quarterly goals into weekly goals. I think week is important. I think if you don't align things weekly, it becomes difficult, at least for me. So you try to come up with what you want to achieve in a week. So let's assume one of your objective is to read 3 books in a quarter. So probably at a week level you might say I want to read 6 chapters. That becomes your sub goal or key result for that week. In the OKR document, so what I do is that I update the OKR document with week progress. I add a new section for a week. I will show you, and that will become much more clear. I pick the key results that I want to achieve. So again, there could be 4 key results in a quarter. For objective, you might say I will only pick up this key result for this week, and I will try to achieve 70%, 80%, whatever I want to achieve in that. Then at the daily level, you look at your weekly planning list and try to create a to-do list out of it, and you make daily progress using that. Let's see that in action. So again, I will share the link of the slide so you can look at that. So let's look at, so as you can see from the outline, first I have an OKR for a quarter. So I define the OKR here. It has 3 objectives. Then I do a weekly planning, then I do a daily planning. So I'm just showing one example here. So typically there will be, I think if there are 12 weeks in a month, so there will be 12 week 1, week 2, so 12 entries here, and there will be 90 entries for the today task. Again, you can create smaller document as well, document for every so you can have a separate document for every week or every day as well, but I think it's up to you. Right now for an example I'm showing that I don't use Google document for my OKR, so I typically use Evernote for doing that, and I create a separate note for a week and a daily task. So let's look at the OKR for a quarter. So I can say that so my objective 1 is to deliver a project X with high quality, and what I have said is that it should have less than 20 defects in the UAT phase. Test coverage of the product should be 80%. Each sprint team should finish 40 story points, and development of the product should finish on 1st June. So I have specified a few key results based on which I will measure the progress of this task. So this is basically your daily work. That is the key aspect. The second objective for me is to improve the technical reputation of my organization. So what I'm saying is I will write 3 blogs, I will deliver 2 sessions, and I will try to speak at 1 conference, international conference. Then there is a personal task as well, that I want to become a good software engineer. For that I want to read 3 books on software architecture. I want to release an open source library. So this becomes my way to become better. This becomes my way to reach more audience and community. This is my daily work, or this is my value to the organization in terms of the delivery. So I have covered all the 3 aspects which are important to me. Then what I do is I take this list. So this becomes my become my guide to define what I want to achieve in a week. So at the start of the week, probably on Monday morning, or at the end of the previous week on Sunday, I could define my key results and the tasks that I want to achieve. So here, OKR never talks about tasks, but if you have to relate it to your daily stuff, you have to have a concept of a task here. So what I am saying here is that I picked up 3 key results, and the first key result is that at 20 less than 20 defects. So I'm saying that I will be working on stories or issues 1 2 3 and 3 4 5. I should have 0 defect here. Test coverage for the stories that I'm working on should be 90%, and I will finish 20 user story points in that. So that gives me what I really want to achieve at the end of the week, and that is aligned to my delivery. Similarly, on the technical reputation, I talk about I will write the first draft of my blog, I will deliver an XK on OKR, and I will submit to abstract to 2 conferences. So again, I covered these are the tasks that I will do. So this is what I can do. Then become a good software developer. So I said that I will read 6 chapters of Just Enough Software Architecture. So I want to read 3 books, so I can't read 1 book in a week, so I will read 6 chapters of it. That's fine. And then my daily tasks, then I pick up the tasks that I want to do daily based on where I am with my weekly task. So I said that for objective 1, I will be working on a task of finishing the story, demoing the story to a PO, do research on microservice communication pattern because I want to write a blog on it, write talk on abstract on Kubernetes and microservice, read chapter 1 and 2. So this becomes my daily task. So as you can see, I can track back my what I am doing here with the objective that I have set similarly for all of them. I think this requires discipline and effort, but hopefully I think it gives you a reasonable way to track your progress and see if you are achieving what you are planning to achieve. So I think this is the way I am doing it. I know it takes time. You have to put some labor here, you have to put some hard work here to make sure that you can align all of these, but it has its value, at least to me. So that's what I'm doing. So hopefully this gives gives some knowledge and value to you, and you try that as well. If you do that, please mention that in the comment section of the video. Thanks a lot for your time.